Close your eyes and imagine the quiet whispers of forgotten temples. The moonlight falls upon carved stones, telling stories of women who once walked as priestesses, goddesses, and guardians of mystery. In every ancient land, there were women woven into the fabric of faith, gentle yet powerful, tender yet unshakable. Their names may be faded, yet their spirits move like soft winds through time, carrying lessons of love, strength, and healing. Tonight, let us drift across deserts, mountains, and sacred rivers, into the embrace of ancient cults where divine women still shine. Each story is a candle to soothe your soul, a lullaby of memory and myth. If this journey brings you peace, consider subscribing so you can return to these gentle stories each night, and share in the comments where you are listening from. Your voice joins a circle of dreamers across the world. The night is gentle now. The air is cool, like a soft breath moving across the skin of the earth. Above, stars rest in silence, each one flickering like a candle in the dark. A hush spreads across the land, and in that hush, the story begins. In the beginning, before temples rose, before kingdoms ruled, there were tribes who gathered close to firelight. The world felt vast and mysterious, filled with winds, rivers, mountains, and skies that spoke in voices too great for words. And among these early peoples there were women who listened. They leaned into the silence. They felt the heartbeat of the world in the pulse of the earth beneath their feet. They were the first keepers of the sacred. These women did not wear crowns or armor. They carried no weapons, no golden treasures. Instead, they carried songs. They carried chants. They carried the memory of ancestors like embers in their hands. When night fell and the moon poured silver light onto the soil, they would gather the tribe and whisper prayers. Their voices rose like smoke, rising gently toward the stars. The sacred sisters were healers. They knew the leaves that cooled fever, the roots that soothed pain, the waters that cleansed wounds. They placed their hands upon the sick, not with force, but with patience. They listened to the breath, to the trembling of a spirit caught between fear and peace. They sang until the heart slowed, until rest returned, until the body remembered its place in the great circle of life. In their presence, children slept without fear. The old found comfort in the nearness of death. The wandering hunters and weary travelers returned to warmth and story. The sisters did not rule. They did not command. They guided like rivers, steady and quiet, shaping the land by flowing around stone. Imagine now a circle of these women sitting in the glow of fire. The night is deep. The stars stretch endlessly above. Their faces shine with calm, painted by shadows of flame. One begins a chant, low and steady, like the heartbeat of the earth itself. Another joins, her tone higher, weaving harmony like threads in cloth. Soon, all voices rise together, a soft weaving of sound, carrying the tribe into stillness. The chant is not only song, it is medicine, it is memory, it is prayer. These chants told of the moon, the faithful sister of night. They told of the sun, the generous giver of warmth. They spoke of rivers as mothers, carrying life in their flowing arms. Each word was soft, yet filled with power. Not the power of kings or warriors, but the power of comfort, of healing, of peace. The sacred sisters were keepers of rhythm. They marked the turning of the moon, the rising and falling of tides, the seasons of planting and harvest. They knew when to light the first fire of spring, when to call the rains, when to honor the dead with song. Time was not counted by numbers, but by the breath of the sky, and the sisters listened with patience. Close your eyes and picture them by the river. The night is quiet. The water reflects the stars, rippling gently as if the heavens themselves were resting on the surface. The women stand in silence. One dips her hand into the cool water. She lifts it slowly, letting droplets fall like crystal beads. Each drop is a blessing. Each drop is a prayer. The tribe watches in awe, though no words are spoken. Only the river sings. In many lands, these women were seen as bridges. Bridges between the earth and the sky, between the living and the unseen. They listened to dreams and gave them meaning. They heard the cry of birds and felt it as a message. They watched the flicker of flame and read in it the shape of tomorrow. The world was alive with voices, and the sisters were the ones who understood their language. When storms came, fierce and heavy, the people looked to the sisters. Not for weapons, not for walls, but for calm. The sisters lit fires and sang, their chants rising against the roar of thunder. They told the tribe, storms are not enemies. They are cleansing breath. They are sky speaking to earth. And so the people learned not to fear the rain, but to drink it, to thank it, to rest beneath its rhythm. When famine threatened, when the land grew weary, the sisters led the people in prayer. They danced slowly, their feet pressing into soil with tenderness, as if waking the sleeping earth. They carried baskets of seeds, singing to them as though to children. The earth, they believed, was alive, and like any living being, it needed song, touch, and love. And when green shoots rose once again, the tribe bowed not only to the soil, but to the sisters who had kept hope alive. Generations passed, yet always there were women who carried this sacred role. Some were mothers, guiding their children with gentle wisdom. Some were maidens, fresh with the glow of youth, singing the first chants of their lives. Some were elders, their hair silver like the moon, their voices cracked yet strong with memory. Each one added her thread to the great fabric of tradition. And though their names are lost to history, their presence remains, like the soft echo of a lullaby, still drifting through time. The sacred sisters remind us that the divine is not always in thunder or fire. It is in the quiet. It is in the breath. It is in the hand that soothes another. It is in the song that carries peace into the heart. They remind us that holiness is not a crown to be worn, but a kindness to be shared. As you rest now, imagine sitting beside their fire. Feel the warmth on your skin. Hear the chant moving through the night air, slow and steady. Smell the smoke of herbs carried upward. See the stars watching quietly above. You are safe here. You are part of the circle. The sisters sing not only for their tribe, but for you. The song rises, then softens, then fades into silence. Only the fire remains, glowing like a heart at rest. The night grows deeper, the river whispers, and the sacred sisters close their eyes, trusting the stars to keep watch until morning. Now, let your own breath follow theirs. Slow, steady, gentle. The story holds you as their chants once held the tribe. There is nothing to fear. There is only rest. The dawn of sacred sisters never truly ends. Their spirit lives in every act of kindness, in every soft word, in every gentle hand. They're here still, watching, guiding, singing in silence. And as you drift, their presence surrounds you like a blanket of peace. Rest now, for the story continues, and the sisters will guide you onward through dreams, through stillness, through the quiet night. The night deepens. The stars above seem closer, as if leaning gently over the earth to listen. The air is cool, carrying the hush of distant sands, the soft rustle of unseen wings. And in this quiet, an ancient story drifts toward us, like a slow tide returning to shore. It is the story of Inanna, the radiant queen of heaven, the goddess of love and of war. Her name was whispered in Sumer, in lands where rivers bent like serpents, where temples rose toward the sun. She was a goddess of beauty and desire, yet also of strength and power. But even those who hold crowns must one day walk into shadow, and so begins her descent. Inanna stood at the edge of the underworld. Her eyes, bright as starlight, gazed into the deep silence below. The land of the dead was ruled by her sister, Ereshkigal, Queen of Shadows. Between them stretched a vast gulf, one sister of light, one sister of night. Yet Inanna felt the call. She knew she must journey downward to face the mysteries hidden beneath the earth. Before she began, she prepared herself. She placed her crown upon her head, a shimmering circle of power. She draped jewels upon her neck and wrists, each gem glowing like a fragment of the sky. She wore robes of glory, flowing like sunlight across her skin. Each item she carried was a symbol of her strength, her place among the gods, her connection to heaven. Then she came to the first gate. The gatekeeper spoke with a voice like stone. "Inanna, Queen of Heaven, to pass through, you must remove your crown." And so, with steady hands, she lifted it from her head. Her hair shone in the moonlight, bare, uncovered. She bowed her head and she stepped forward. At the second gate, another voice awaited. "Remove the necklace from your throat." Inanna unclasped the jewel. It fell silent in her palm, its glow fading as she laid it aside. She stepped forward once more, her body lighter, her spirit quieter. At the third gate, the bracelets were taken. At the fourth, her breastplate. At the fifth, her ring. At the sixth, her staff. And at the seventh, her robe of glory was lifted from her shoulders. One by one, she gave away the symbols of her power. One by one, she walked deeper into shadow, clothed only in her own being. Naked, unadorned, she entered the realm of her sister. Ereshkigal sat upon a throne of silence, her eyes dark, her voice low. Here in the underworld, there were no jewels, no crowns, no songs of praise. Only stillness, only the truth of what remains when all else is stripped away. Inanna stood before her sister, bare as the earth itself. She had surrendered everything. Her beauty, her strength, her pride. She had let go of all that glittered. She had let go of all that shone. What remained was only her soul, quiet, small, and eternal. For 3 days and 3 nights, Inanna lay in the stillness of death. The underworld wrapped her in silence. Her body did not move. Her breath did not rise. The goddess of love, the queen of heaven, rested in shadow. And yet, even here, her journey was not an ending. It was a passage. Above, the world grew restless. The fields longed for her blessing. The rivers whispered her name. Her people mourned. And from their mourning rose prayers, gentle and persistent, like small flames in the dark. Through these prayers, help came. The gods of heaven sent messengers, tiny beings made of compassion, to descend into the underworld. They came before Ereshkigal, who wept in her loneliness. Her cries were deep and sorrowful, like rivers hidden beneath stone. The messengers did not fight her. They did not command her. They listened. They echoed her grief, word by word, sigh by sigh, until her heart softened. And in that softening, Ereshkigal allowed Inanna to rise again. So the Queen of Heaven was lifted. But as she rose, she did not carry back the jewels, the robe, or the crown. She carried instead the memory of surrender. She carried the truth that even divine power must bow, that even the brightest must enter shadow, that renewal comes only through release. When Inanna returned to the world above, the sun seemed warmer, the rivers clearer, the earth more alive, for she had tasted the stillness of death, and she had been reborn into life. Her people sang again, their voices soft as morning wind. They honored not only her beauty and her strength, but also her humility, her courage to descend, her willingness to let go. The story of Inanna whispers to us even now. It tells us that descent is not defeat. It is the quiet turning of the soul, the way the seed must fall into darkness before it can sprout. It is the way the night must come before the dawn returns. It is the breath we release before we draw in another. Close your eyes now. Imagine Inanna walking through the gates, leaving behind her crown, her jewels, her robe. With each step she grows lighter. With each gate she draws nearer to silence. And in that silence, there is peace. Feel this descent within yourself. The day is ending. Your burdens can be set down. You do not need the crown of thought, the jewels of effort, the robe of worry. Let them fall gently aside. You need only your breath, your body, your quiet soul. Rest in this stillness as Inanna rested. Let the night hold you. Let the silence cradle you. There is nothing to fear. There is only the soft promise of return. And when morning comes, you will rise as she rose. You will carry the gift of release. You will step back into light with new strength, new calm, new peace. The story does not end in shadow. It flows onward like a river moving toward dawn. And so too do you. Now the stars lean closer once more. The wind softens. The night deepens. And Inanna's song drifts into silence, leaving only the hush of peace. Rest now as she rests. Let the descent become a dream. Let the dream become sleep. And let the sleep carry you gently into the arms of morning. The night drifts slowly. Above, the sky is wide, a great canvas brushed with stars. The moon bends her silver face toward the earth, lighting the quiet waters of the Nile. The river moves like a long, breathing body, steady and eternal. Its song is soft, a murmur that has carried through the ages. Here, along its sacred banks, temples rise. Their walls are carved with stories, etched in stone to hold memory against the touch of time. Torches glow faintly at the doorways, their flames flickering like small hearts in the stillness. And within those temples, women walk with quiet grace. They are the priestesses of Isis, of Hathor, the keepers of devotion, the singers of sacred song. The air carries a faint sweetness, the perfume of lotus and incense drifting together. It curls around the stone pillars, rising into the night like invisible offerings. The priestesses move slowly, robes brushing the floor, steps measured and calm. Their voices rise in chants, low and rhythmic, blending with the river's breath. The sound is neither loud nor hurried. It is a gentle weaving, a lullaby for both gods and mortals. These women are guardians of balance. They tend to the altars, laying flowers upon them, pouring water into clay bowls, lighting oil lamps that shine like captured stars. They wash the statues of the goddesses, not as mere figures, but as living presences. To them, the stone itself breathes. The carved eyes watch. The sacred statues are vessels of light, clothed in silence, touched with reverence. Isis, the Great Mother, is honored here. Her priestesses bow before her image, whispering her many names. She is the healer of the broken, the protector of children, the gentle one who weaves torn hearts back together. Her power is not thunder but tenderness. It is the steady touch that holds all things close, like the river embracing its banks. Hathor, too, is present. She is the lady of joy, of music, of love. Her temples ring with soft sistrums, the gentle rattling instruments that shimmer like sunlight on water. The priestesses move with them, swaying lightly, their bodies flowing like reeds in wind. Her energy is sweet and calming, filling the night with warmth. She is the mother of laughter, yet also the comforter of tears. Imagine standing there within the temple. Candles flicker softly. The walls rise high, painted with stars and wings. The priestesses stand in a circle, their voices joining, each tone a ripple upon the river of sound. They chant not for themselves, but for the world, for the balance of sky and soil, for the harmony between human hearts and divine order. The Nile itself listens. Its waters, dark and shining under moonlight, carry the echo of those chants far downstream. Villages asleep on its banks feel the blessing in dreams, though they do not hear the words. Fields waiting for the flood drink the sacred sound as if it were water itself. The river, the temple, the night, all become one breath, one song, one stillness. The priestesses live not in haste, but in rhythm. They wake with the rising sun, their bodies warmed by its golden hand. They tend to sacred fires, keep the altars alive with offerings of bread, wine, and flowers. At midday, they rest in shaded courtyards where fountains trickle like whispered prayers. At dusk, they return to the temple, lifting their voices once more as the sky softens into indigo. Their lives are woven into the rhythm of the river, into the turning of the sun and moon. To serve Isis or Hathor is to carry softness as strength. The priestesses are not warriors, yet they hold power. Their power is devotion, patience, and song. They are bridges between the unseen and the seen. They are the ones who remind the people that the divine is not far away. The divine flows here, in water, in wind, in every gentle heartbeat. The people come to them for comfort. Mothers carry children who cry through the night. Farmers come with rough hands worn by soil and sun. The priestesses listen, touch their shoulders, whisper prayers. They offer blessed water, cool and pure, poured into clay cups that tremble in grateful hands. The people leave lighter, their burdens softened, their steps calmer upon the earth. Sometimes the priestesses walk outside, beneath the sky thick with stars. They raise their hands to the heavens, palms open, as if catching starlight itself. They sing not to ask, but to give thanks, for the river that flows, for the soil that feeds, for the moon that guards, for the gods who hold all life in their embrace. Close your eyes now and hear their song. It is slow, steady, soothing. It drifts like the river, moving gently onward, never rushed. Each note is a ripple. Each pause is a deep breath. The sound curls around you, wrapping you in calm. You feel as though you are floating upon the Nile itself, carried by waters older than memory. The priestesses remind us of the sacredness of care. They remind us that to serve with love is greater than to rule with force, that the most powerful prayers are whispered, not shouted, that the truest offerings are not gold or jewels, but the heart given with sincerity. They remind us that devotion is a gentle flame, kept alive not by grandeur, but by constancy. As the night deepens, the temple grows quieter. The chants soften to a hum, like bees drowsing in twilight. The torches burn low, their flames small and tender. The river sighs, rolling onward to places unseen. The priestesses bow their heads, their eyes heavy with peace. They know the gods are near, even in silence. Especially in silence, rest now in this silence. The stars lean close above you. The river flows beneath you. The temple walls stand around you like arms in an embrace. The priestesses have sung their song, and their song has become a lullaby. You are safe within it. You are carried within it. Let the chant fade into your breath. Let the rhythm of the Nile guide your dreams. There is no need to hold anything now.
The priestesses keep watch.
The river flows on. The gods rest near, and as the candles burn low, the night folds itself gently around you. Now sleep as the Nile continues its endless journey. Now rest as the stars return. The night is still. The mountains stand like guardians against the sky. Their peaks are dusted with silver light, for the moon has climbed high. Shadows soften the slopes, and the wind moves slowly through pine and cypress. Each tree sways gently as if bowing to something unseen. High upon the sacred mountain of Parnassus lies Delphi. It is a place where stone meets sky, where silence holds the weight of centuries. Here the temple of Apollo rests, its columns reaching upward, pale and strong against the night. Torches burn softly at the entrance, their flames steady as the breath of the earth. Within these walls the oracle waits, the Pythia, the chosen voice of Apollo. The air is touched with the fragrance of laurel leaves. They have been gathered fresh, their green branches carried into the temple as offerings. The priestesses place them upon the altar, where incense curls upward in soft spirals. It drifts toward the rafters, carrying prayers as smoke carries breath into the sky. The temple hums with stillness, as if listening. As if the very stones are leaning close, the Pythia sits upon her tripod seat. It is carved from bronze, set above a deep cleft in the earth. From that cleft rises a gentle vapor, a hidden breath of the mountain. It carries a sweetness, a faint perfume of the earth's hidden heart. She closes her eyes. Her body sways, not in effort, but in surrender. Her breathing slows. Her hands rest open upon her lap. Those who gather do not speak. They wait in silence, heads bowed, their hearts lifted toward the unseen. They know that when the oracle speaks, it is not a mortal voice alone. It is the voice of Apollo, the god of light, of prophecy, of music. It is the voice of harmony itself. It is the voice that turns silence into guidance, mystery into meaning. The priestesses stand around her. They too are calm, their robes of white falling like rivers around their feet. One holds a bowl of water drawn from the sacred spring of Castalia. Its surface glimmers faintly in torchlight, reflecting the stars beyond the roof. Another holds a laurel branch, its leaves trembling lightly in her hand. The air carries the soft sound of breath, the soft song of fire. Everything is gentle. Everything is waiting. Then, slowly, the Pythia begins to speak. Her words come in fragments, like the wind moving through the pines. At first only a whisper, then fuller, stronger, as if carried on an unseen current. Her voice is not hurried. It drifts, it lingers, it rises and falls like a tide. Those listening close their eyes, letting the sound wash over them. The oracle's breath is more than sound. It is rhythm. It is the meeting of the human with the divine. Each word is like a pebble dropped into water, sending ripples outward. Some ripples reach the heart immediately. Others drift slowly, only to be felt much later, when the moment calls. The message is not bound to time. It is a living stream, flowing onward. Apollo is felt here not as thunder, not as command, but as light. His presence is warmth in the air, like sunlight through leaves. His presence is music not heard with ears, but with spirit. The priestesses feel it as a gentle glow upon their skin. The supplicants feel it as calm within their breath. It is the nearness of something greater, yet tender. It is clarity without sharpness, fire without burning. The people come from far lands to hear this voice. Kings, wanderers, farmers, mothers. They climb the mountain path, slow and steady, carrying their questions like small flames in their hearts. When they stand before the oracle, the flames are placed within her keeping, and she in turn gives them back as light, reshaped, reformed, softened. The questions dissolve, but the answers remain, like seeds hidden in soil. To hear the Pythia is not to gain certainty. It is to be touched by mystery in a way that steadies the soul. The breath of the oracle is like the wind. You cannot hold it, you cannot bind it, but you can feel it, and it can guide your steps. It moves through you, and in its movement you find direction. The temple itself holds memory. Its stones have absorbed centuries of prayer, centuries of song. Every echo of chant still lingers here, like faint starlight that never fades. When the oracle speaks, her words join those echoes. They layer upon one another, not erasing, but weaving together into a tapestry of devotion. It is the sound of ages, carried forward in every breath. Close your eyes and imagine the scene. The night outside is vast, and the stars shine like endless fires. The mountain is quiet, its trees whispering as wind brushes their branches. Inside the temple, the torches flicker. The air glows gold and amber. The Pythia's voice drifts like incense, rising, circling, dissolving. Every word is soft yet full. Every pause is wide, as if the silence itself were a message. Those who listen bow their heads lower. Some weep gently, though they do not know why. The sound touches places within them that words cannot name. Others breathe deeper, their shoulders loosening, their burdens lifting. All feel the same peace. All feel the same nearness of the divine. It is not the meaning alone that matters. It is the breath, the rhythm, the sacred presence within the sound. The oracle's breath is not only for those who stand before her, it is for the world. It moves outward like a tide, like a breeze traveling across fields and seas. It reaches villages asleep in distant valleys. It touches shepherds beneath the stars, guiding them though they never step inside the temple. It fills the earth itself, a quiet harmony weaving through roots, through stones, through rivers. The world breathes with it, unseen yet felt. The priestesses know this. They tend to the oracle not as a person, but as a flame. They guard her, care for her, ensure her body is steady so the voice may pass through. They too are part of the message. For the divine does not move through one alone, but through the circle, through the community. Each chant, each gesture, each silence is part of the weaving. The oracle is the breath, but the temple is the body, and all within it are one. As the night deepens, the oracle's voice softens. The flow of words slows like a river finding its still pool. Her head bows gently, her breath steady. The vapor beneath her fades back into the cleft, unseen once more. The priestesses move quietly, touching her shoulders, guiding her from the seat. They cover her with a cloak, soft and white, as though wrapping her in the moonlight itself. The supplicants rise. They bow, not to her, but to the presence that spoke through her. They walk from the temple in silence. Their steps light upon the stone path. Outside, the stars greet them, and the mountain air feels cool upon their faces. They carry something homeward, not always answers, but always peace. Not always certainty, but always a calm flame to guide their steps in the days ahead. The temple grows still again. Torches burn low. The wind whispers through the pines. The oracle rests in silence, her breath now her own. Yet the breath of Apollo lingers. It lingers in the stones, in the night air, in the hearts of all who heard. It lingers in you too as you drift through this story. So let it move within you now, soft as air upon the skin. Let it guide you not with command, but with quiet. Let it soothe your breath, slow your thoughts, calm your heart. For the oracle's breath is not bound to one place, nor to one time. It is everywhere the wind moves. It is everywhere silence speaks. Now rest as the mountain keeps watch. Now drift as the stars return. The oracle's breath is with you. It flows gently, endlessly, like wind through the pines, like sleep itself. The night is wide. The sky is deep, its fabric woven with quiet light. Stars shimmer like dust scattered by an unseen hand. And there, at the heart of this vast canvas, rests the moon. She is round tonight, full and radiant. Her glow spreads across rivers and forests, across deserts and seas. She shines on mountains and valleys, on cities and sleeping villages. She shines upon you too, softly, gently, as if to remind you that you are not alone in the night. For the moon has always been mother. Her light is tender, her rhythm steady. She pulls the tides as a mother's hand rocks the cradle. She guides the months as a mother guides the growth of her child. In many lands, she was called the Great Mother, and in many stories her daughters walked among the people. They were midwives, healers, singers of dreams. They were keepers of night's wisdom. Listen now as the quiet unfolds. Let us drift into their world, where moonlight was more than light. It was memory. It was medicine. It was prayer. In the lands of the Maya, the moon was Ixchel. She was the goddess of birth, of healing, of weaving. She moved across the sky as a mother, her phases marking the cycles of life. When women called upon her, they did so in whispers beneath the silver glow. And her daughters, the priestesses of the moon, stood beside them. By firelight they gathered, in huts with thatched roofs, where the night air carried the hum of crickets. Their hands touched the bellies of women heavy with child. Their voices chanted low, like the sound of water flowing over stone. They knew the rhythm of the womb, the rhythm of the tide, the rhythm of the moon. And with these rhythms, they guided birth, bringing new life into the world. Each cry of the newborn was a song, carried upward to the stars. Far away in the cold steppes, the moon was also mother. There, under endless skies, women looked upward to her face for guidance. They called her by names lost to time, but her daughters lived in memory. They walked with bundles of herbs tied in cloth, roots and flowers gathered from meadows. At night they boiled them in small pots over low flames, making teas to soothe the sick, balms to calm pain. Their tents glowed faintly from inside, lit by embers. Shadows swayed on the felt walls, and the scent of sage rose into the night air. Outside, the moon shone above the wide grasslands. The daughters of the moon listened to its silence, and in that silence they heard wisdom. They placed their hands on foreheads, murmured words like lullabies, and brought rest to weary souls. In Egypt, beneath the slow flow of the Nile, the moon was also divine. She was seen as the eye of Horus, as the cool reflection balancing the heat of the sun. Her daughters walked the river banks in white linen robes. They sang beneath the night sky, voices echoing against stone temples. They were dream keepers. When one wished to see visions, to hear a whisper of the gods, they slept within temple walls. And it was the daughters of the moon who guided them. They spread mats woven of reeds. They burned sweet resins whose smoke curled into the rafters. They sang until the seeker fell into a dream. In that dream, the moonlight touched them, and the message came. Upon waking, the daughters spoke softly, interpreting the vision, guiding the heart with calm words. In Greece, the moon had many names: Selene, Artemis, Hecate. Each name carried a different face, a different light. Her daughters tended fires at crossroads, where three paths met. They carried torches through the night, guiding travelers who feared the dark. They were guardians of the threshold, watchers of night's mysteries. By torchlight, they laid offerings where paths crossed: honey, milk, small cakes of grain. The smoke of burning herbs rose to the sky, drifting toward the waiting moon. Their chants were soft, low as the coo of doves calling protection upon those who wandered. When the moon shone bright, the paths seemed safe, as though watched over by gentle eyes. Those who traveled carried with them the blessing of the daughters, quiet and unseen, yet deeply felt. Everywhere, across lands and ages, the daughters of the moon carried the same essence. They brought calm where there was fear. They brought healing where there was pain. They carried dreams where there was uncertainty. And always they worked in silence and in shadow, as the moon herself does. Not loud, not fierce, but steady. A light in darkness, a rhythm to follow, a comfort to trust. Close your eyes now and imagine them. See the daughters of the moon gathered in a circle. Some wear robes of linen, some robes of wool, some skins of animals. Some carry herbs. Some carry bowls of water, some carry torches of fire. Their faces are calm. Their voices are soft, and above them the moon shines, the same moon that shines upon you now. The circle sways like water, their chants rising and falling. They sing of birth, of dreams, of healing, of safe passage through night. The air is heavy with the fragrance of smoke and blossoms. The earth beneath them is cool and steady. The stars above sparkle like endless eyes, watching, blessing. All is connected. All is whole. The daughters of the moon are not gone. They remain in memory, in story, in the quiet wisdom passed down through generations. Every healer who lays a gentle hand, every midwife who whispers courage, every singer who soothes the restless, they are touched by moonlight. They carry the same flame, the same rhythm, the same quiet strength, and you too are touched. For the moon shines upon you each night. Its light is ancient, yet ever new. It cradles you as it has cradled countless before you. Its rhythm lives in your breath, in your heartbeat, in your dreams. When you rest beneath it, you are within its circle. You are never apart from it. The night deepens now. The moon continues her slow path across the sky. Her daughters fade into silence, their chants dissolving into the air. But their presence lingers. It lingers like the glow of the moon upon water. It lingers like the memory of a soft song. It lingers like a hand resting gently, reassuringly, upon your shoulder. So breathe slowly. Breathe deeply. Let the calm of the moon surround you. Let the rhythm of her daughters guide you. You are safe. You are cradled. You are part of this ancient circle. Now rest as the moonlight flows over you. Now drift as the stars return. The daughters of the moon keep watch. Their song continues, soft and endless, carrying you deeper into peace. The night folds softly over the ancient city. Streets lie quiet beneath the weight of stars. Shadows stretch along stone walls, and the air carries the faint hush of distant wind. In the heart of Rome, where marble rises against the dark sky, a temple glows. Its fire burns steadily, never flickering to darkness. It is the eternal flame, the breath of the empire, the warmth of the hearth magnified to guard the city. No storm, no silence, no turning of time may put it out. For within the temple, the Vestal Virgins keep watch. Their lives are woven into the light. Their hands, steady and careful, tend the flame that must never die. The temple stands open to the sky. Its roofless circle welcomes both the sun by day and the stars by night. Columns rise like solemn guardians, their stone faces etched by centuries. Between them the flame sways, gentle yet strong, a tongue of gold in the darkness. The air smells of sacred smoke, faint and sweet. It clings to the robes of the women who move in silence. White veils soft as cloud, steps soundless as falling ash. The Vestals are chosen young, daughters of Rome, selected before the weight of life bends them, before the world claims them. Their childhood is set aside and a new life begins. For 30 years they serve, 10 years to learn, 10 years to tend, 10 years to teach. The rhythm of their days is bound to the fire. Its glow becomes their companion, their duty, their heart. At dawn, the city stirs. Markets open, soldiers march, voices rise, but within the temple the morning is hushed. The Vestals gather before the altar, offering ground grain and salted cakes, simple gifts to feed the fire. They move with precision, like dancers whose steps follow a silent song. The smoke rises, curling upward, a thread connecting earth to sky. And the people, even beyond the temple walls, believe their lives depend on its glow. For if the fire dies, Rome itself is said to weaken, its fortune fading like ash on the wind. The Vestals carry more than duty. They carry presence. Wherever they walk, the people part with reverence. For these women are untouched by war, by wealth, by marriage. They belong to something higher, to the goddess Vesta, keeper of the hearth, guardian of flame. Their very footsteps are seen as holy. They walk the streets with quiet dignity, their white robes gleaming like pieces of moonlight under the sun. There is power in their calm. When a criminal crosses their path, their touch may bring pardon. When a soldier kneels before them, he feels courage rise. When a mother meets their eyes, her heart feels steadier, as though warmed by hidden fire. For the Vestals are not only keepers of flame, but keepers of trust. They remind the people that beyond the chaos of war and the noise of politics, there is still constancy, a light that never falters. At dusk, the temple grows golden. The last rays of the sun strike the columns, turning them to pillars of amber. The air cools, shadows lengthen, and the fire glows brighter against the coming night. The Vestals move again, feeding it with wood, whispering prayers. Their chants are low, like the hum of bees, like the steady roll of the Tiber River beyond the walls. They sing not for themselves, but for Rome, for its children, for its future. And in the stillness of midnight, when the city sleeps, the temple remains awake. The flame flickers softly, painting the faces of the women who sit in vigil. Their eyes reflect the fire, steady and unblinking. The silence is deep, yet within it there is warmth. A warmth that reaches out beyond marble, beyond stone, beyond empire. It touches the stars themselves, as if the flame were speaking to the heavens. The life of a Vestal is not easy. It is bound with rules, with silence, with sacrifice. Yet within that discipline lies a kind of peace. For to devote oneself fully is to carry no burden of choice. To tend a single flame is to tend the heart of all things. Their devotion is a steady river, flowing without question, without pause. Imagine now, sitting beside them. The temple floor is cool beneath you. The air smells of cedar and pine, smoke rising in slow spirals. The flame sways gently, its light soft against your face. You hear the robes of the Vestals brushing against stone. You hear the faint whisper of their chant, timeless, unhurried. It wraps around you like a cloak, safe and warm. The world outside grows distant, hushed, unreal. Here, only the flame is real. Here, only the breath of devotion remains. The Vestal flame was more than fire. It was memory. It was hope. It was the reminder that as long as warmth existed, life endured. Families gathered around their hearths at night. Children curled close, elders telling stories. All hearths were reflections of the great fire in Vesta's temple. And so every home felt connected, every life tied to the eternal glow. Generations passed, yet the fire continued. Seasons shifted, yet the flame did not waver. Kings rose, empires stretched, battles came and went. Still the flame lived on. The Vestals tended it, year after year, with the same patience, the same devotion. Each woman knew she was part of something greater than her own days. She was a link in an unbroken chain, a guardian of continuity. Close your eyes now and picture the temple. See the columns shining pale under the moon. See the flame rising, steady and sure. See the priestesses moving quietly, their veils trailing like whispers in the night air. Feel the calm they carry, the weightless devotion, the unshaken presence. Their world is ancient, yet their lesson is simple. That light must be tended, that warmth must be guarded, that devotion, kept steady, becomes eternal. The night deepens. The fire glows softer now, as though bowing to the stars above. The Vestals settle into stillness, their watch unbroken, their hearts calm. The city sleeps, its breath slow and even, and the flame continues as it always has, as it always will. Rest now within its glow. Let its warmth cradle you as if you too were part of its circle. Let your breath move like its flicker, steady, gentle, calm. The fire is eternal. It keeps watch, even as you sleep. It holds you in its light, even as you dream. Now drift onward into quiet. Now rest as the stars return. The flame continues, and you're safe within its glow. The desert waits in silence. Its sands lie endless beneath the sky, a sea of golden waves frozen in stillness. The air holds no sound but the hush of wind, brushing faintly over dunes. The stars shine bright above, unclouded, ancient, their light like silver threads stretched across eternity. Here in this wide and endless land, time feels slower. Every breath of the night moves gently, like the rhythm of a sleeping heart. Among these sands, long ago, women kept sacred watch. They were known in whispers as the women of the desert mysteries. Nomads called upon them when guidance was needed. Travelers sought their counsel when the stars seemed unreadable. They lived not in cities, nor in stone temples, but beneath the open heavens, where silence itself became a holy shrine. Their dwelling was simple, a circle of woven tents, low and humble, standing like islands upon the dunes. Around them fires glowed at night, not fierce, but soft, sending smoke in spirals toward the sky. Their voices rose with chants, quiet songs carried by the wind. Prayers shaped not with grand words, but with breath and tone. The desert itself seemed to answer, its silence deepening as if listening. These women were keepers of star paths. They could read the constellations as others read words on a page. To them, the stars were not distant, cold fires, but living companions. Each had a spirit, each a meaning. One star might mark the path to water, another the sign of fertility, another still the omen of storms. The women knew them all, carried them in memory, passed them from mother to daughter in gentle teaching beneath the night sky. Travelers would come weary and lost, their camels heavy with burdens, their eyes dim with worry. They would kneel at the edge of the women's camp, waiting in silence, for none dared disturb them without reverence. And when the women emerged, veiled in flowing cloth, their steps light as drifting sand, they brought calm with them. They would lift their eyes to the sky, trace the map of stars, and speak in voices soft as wind. No command, no force, only guidance, as though they were translating the language of heaven into words simple enough for human hearts. Some said the women were daughters of the moon, for when the desert was cloaked in silver light, their faces shone with a glow that seemed unearthly. They gathered at night in circles, their hands raised, their chants rising with the breath of the earth. They prayed not for power but for balance, for safe journeys, for full waterskins, for the steady beating of hearts across the sands. They believed the desert was alive, that its winds carried messages, that its silence held secrets, that every grain of sand was an ancient witness. To the nomads, these women were midwives of the spirit. They helped not only in childbirth, but in moments of despair, guiding souls through unseen thresholds. When a child came into the world, they sang beneath the stars. When a life left the world, they sang again, their voices gentle, carrying the soul onward. To them, beginnings and endings were both alike, both passages, both doors. And the stars were always watching. Imagine sitting beside their fire, the sand cool beneath your body, the night vast around you. The flames move softly, their glow golden against the deep blue of the sky. The women sit in a circle, veils brushing against the ground, bracelets chiming faintly when they move. They chant together, their voices low and melodic, weaving sound like a fabric. It is not a song of sorrow, nor of joy. It is something deeper, a tone that soothes, that steadies, that slows the pulse of the desert itself. They teach that silence is not emptiness, it is fullness. It is the womb of the unseen, holding every word before it is spoken, every song before it is sung. In silence they listen, to the desert, to the stars, to the hidden whispers of the heart. When storms rose on the horizon, curling sand into high walls, the women did not fear. They sat within their circle, their eyes closed, their hands joined. They breathed in rhythm with the storm, honoring its force, calling upon it not as an enemy but as a teacher. And when the winds quieted, they rose and scattered grains of sacred herbs across the sand, offerings of respect. For to them even the fiercest storm was a messenger of the divine. The desert women also carried healing knowledge. They knew which herbs grew in rare oases, which roots brought strength, which leaves soothed fever. They knew how to grind them into powders, how to mix them with oil, how to place them upon the body with prayer. Their touch was gentle, their words simple, their presence steady. Many who had nearly given up found life returning beneath their care. It was said their hands carried the same warmth as the stars, a heat that came not from fire but from something higher, something eternal. Legends tell of nights when caravans were lost, swallowed by darkness, their torches blown out by desert winds. The women would appear, their veils shining faintly in moonlight, their steps leaving no trace upon the sand. They would guide the weary travelers not by shouting nor by command, but by quiet gestures, by the pointing of a hand, by a song carried on the wind. And when dawn came, the travelers found themselves at the gates of safety, though none could say how the journey had been made. The women themselves were already gone, returning to their hidden camp, as silent as they had come. To live in the desert is to live with patience. Days pass slow, with heat pressing upon the earth. Nights stretch wide, cool and endless, beneath the watch of stars. The women lived within this rhythm, their lives a mirror of the land. They rose with dawn. They slept with moonset. Their every act in tune with the pulse of the desert. Their mystery was not one of secrecy, but of harmony. They revealed little, for the desert itself revealed little. But those who stayed with them, even briefly, carried away a stillness that lingered, like a song remembered long after it fades. Now, let yourself drift into their world. Feel the desert air cool against your skin. Hear the faint rustle of veils, the distant call of a night bird, the whisper of shifting sand. Above, the stars burn steady, ancient fires unbroken by time. Each one feels close, as though it leans toward you, offering its quiet blessing. The women sit nearby, their chants soft like a heartbeat felt rather than heard. You are safe here. You are held within the embrace of silence and stars. The desert, vast and endless, becomes gentle. Its winds calm, its sands rest, and the women of the mysteries keep their watch, eternal as the stars they honor. Now the night deepens. The fire burns low, glowing embers against the dark. The voices grow softer, fading into silence. The stars turn slowly above, their patient dance unbroken. The desert holds you calm and wide. The women watch, their presence steady. Rest now as the sands cool. Rest now as the stars return. Let the silence of the desert cradle you. Let the women of mystery guard your dreams, and let the night carry you onward, deeper into peace. The night is still. Moonlight spills gently across stone ruins, brushing walls with pale silver. In the distance, waves of the Aegean whisper against the shore. The island of Crete rests beneath the stars, wrapped in the hush of ancient memory. Soft winds carry the scent of salt, herbs, and earth, once touched by sacred fire. Here, long ago, women held mysteries in their hands, mysteries coiled and alive. They were the Serpent Queens, figures both human and divine, keepers of symbols older than the temples that crowned the hills. To them, the serpent was no creature of fear. It was life itself, coiling and uncoiling, shedding skin to begin anew. It was the pulse beneath the earth, the movement of rivers, the spiral of stars. In their hands, the serpent became a sign of endless change, of rebirth without end. Imagine a shrine, deep within a Minoan palace, its walls painted with red and ochre, glowing like firelight. Patterns of spirals, flowers, and sacred horns cover the stone, each one a prayer drawn in color. Clay jars hold oil that glimmers softly in the light of flickering lamps. At the center stands the figure of a woman, tall and steady, her arms raised. In each hand a serpent rests, alive and calm, winding gently around her wrists. Her gaze is serene, her dress flowing with folds of white and blue, her hair crowned with bands of gold. She is not afraid. She is radiant with the calm of one who holds power without force. The people of Crete gathered before her image. They came not trembling, but with reverence and trust. They saw in her the cycle of the fields, the return of spring after winter, the healing of wounds, the birth of children. The serpent, forever shedding, forever returning, was the promise that nothing ends, only changes. To hold it was to hold a bridge between worlds, between death and life, between dark soil and new bloom, between silence and song. The women who tended these rites were priestesses of renewal. They learned the ways of herbs, of earth, of rhythm. They knew the seasons, the tides, the stars that guided fishermen home. When they lifted serpents in ritual, it was not a show of dominance. It was a gesture of balance. Woman and serpent, earth and spirit, body and eternity all moving together. The serpents curled gently, not in menace, but in trust, mirroring the stillness of the priestess who held them. To the Minoans, the goddess was not distant, not high above, but present in the very soil. She breathed through the roots of olive trees. She moved in the wings of birds. She curled in the body of serpents. And women, as her daughters, carried her spirit in their touch, their voice, their dance. They were healers and midwives, dancers and keepers of sacred flame. Their rituals were not hidden in darkness, but open to light, celebrated beneath the sun, beneath the stars, with drums and steps that echoed like heartbeats across the courtyards of stone. Picture the dance of the Serpent Queens. The courtyard wide, the walls bright with painted flowers and dolphins leaping in waves. Torches flicker, their smoke rising like prayer. The sound of drums grows steady, slow as breath, deep as earth. Women move in circles, their skirts flowing in layered rings, their hair long, their arms lifted high. In their hands, serpents glisten, winding and alive. The dance is not wild, but fluid, like water flowing over stone, like wind through branches. Every step honors the turning of life, the endless shedding and renewal, the eternal heartbeat of the world. The Serpent Queens taught that rebirth comes not in great thunder, but in soft return. A seed splits in silence beneath the soil. A snake slips from its skin with no sound but the brushing of scales. A child breathes its first breath as the night sky remains calm. Transformation is gentle, they said. It does not rush. It does not force. It moves in its own rhythm, like waves upon the shore, like stars circling the heavens. In their shrines, clay figures of the goddess with serpents were placed upon altars. Offerings of honey, grain, and flowers surrounded them. The scent of incense filled the air, curling upward like smoke from the earth itself. People knelt before the goddess, not in fear, but in closeness, knowing she dwelt among them. Children touched the serpent figurines with wide eyes, learning that what coils and sheds is not danger, but blessing. Legends tell of nights when the moon rose full, casting silver light across the palaces. The Serpent Queens gathered on terraces open to the sea. Their arms lifted, their chants rising like waves. They called upon the goddess not as a distant ruler, but as a mother, as a breath, as the endless cycle that holds all beings. And in that moment, the stars above seemed to mirror the spirals below. Sky and earth woven in one great dance, even now. When ruins lie quiet, when columns have fallen, when time has passed like wind across stone, the presence lingers. Walk among the broken walls and you may feel it, a stillness alive, a memory coiled deep within the earth. The Serpent Queens are gone, yet their teaching remains. Life will always shed, always change, always return. No ending is final, no silence empty. All things move in circles, and all circles are sacred. Now let the desert of time fade away. See the torchlight soft against stone. Hear the drums low and steady. Feel the calm weight of night, the stars shining bright above. The women stand with serpents in hand, serene and luminous, symbols of life unbroken. Their gaze is steady, their presence protective. You are safe beneath their watch, safe in the endless circle of renewal they hold. The flames dim, the drums quiet, the serpents curl in gentle rest. The priestesses lower their arms, their chants fading into silence. The night deepens, calm and still. Only the sea speaks, whispering against the shore, eternal as breath. Rest now in the circle of life. Rest now in the care of the Serpent Queens. Let the cycle hold you. Let renewal cradle you. Let the stars above shine their ancient promise that nothing ends, only transforms. And so, with quiet heart, drift onward. Drift onward as the night carries you deeper into peace. The desert of sleep opens softly before you now. The night is wide, the stars unhurried. A hush like velvet rests across the land. You are drifting again, as though the gentle tide of time has loosened its hold on you. The sky above is pale with silver, while the earth below carries the deep fragrance of soil, warm and waiting. It is here, in the silence between dreams, that the ancient guardians rise. Women who carried the memory of seeds, women who whispered with the ground itself, women who became symbols of fertility, abundance, and the endless circle of life. In Anatolia, where hills rolled like soft shoulders beneath the dawn, the first figures were shaped. From clay, from earth, from the breath of fire, hands pressed small statues into being. Round forms, wide hips, breasts full like rivers ready to overflow. The people who lived close to the soil saw the mystery of growth in these forms. They saw the earth not as cold stone, but as a mother, a womb that never closed, a promise that every seed would awaken, every stalk would rise, every fruit would fall and feed the tribe. These statues, held in hands, tucked into homes, placed in shrines, were not only art, they were prayers. They were quiet voices asking the earth to remain generous. Every curve was a song, every rounded belly a field, every fold in line, the memory of rain and the sweetness of harvest. The Anatolian mother goddess was more than an image. She was presence. Her spirit moved with the wind that carried seeds. Her breath fell with rain. Her arms stretched into the roots of trees. Her eyes gleamed in the moon, steady and protective. To sleep beneath her gaze was to know safety. To walk the fields with her blessing was to trust that life would return even after the cold of winter. And so people gathered in the glow of firelight. They told stories of her hands shaping the world, of her womb carrying not only people but the very seasons. They said each spring was her awakening, each summer her warmth, each autumn her fruit, each winter her rest. Far away, across seas and years, another Earth Mother rose. In the valleys and mountains of Central America, women too carried the vision of soil and seed. They became guardians of corn. Corn that was not just food, but life itself. The kernels were teeth. The stalks were bones. The husks were skin. The people believed their very bodies were shaped from this grain. To honor the mother of corn was to honor themselves. She was a gentle but powerful goddess. Her hair flowed like golden stalks. Her voice was the rustle of fields at dusk. She walked through villages unseen, yet her presence was felt in every meal, every fire that warmed the family. When seeds were pressed into earth, they were pressed into her care. When harvest came, it was her smile that shone in the yellow fields. The guardians of fertility were not only divine figures, they were also women who lived close to the land, mothers who planted with care, midwives who helped bring children into breath, elders who carried the memory of planting seasons. Every woman's body echoed the same truth as the soil, a cycle of growth, a rhythm of rest, a promise of return. In this way, the earth was mirrored in flesh. The womb was not separate from the field. The breast was not separate from the river. The touch of hands in soil was the same as the touch of hands in blessing. Life passed through both endlessly, endlessly, endlessly. And so the listener, you, drift now into their world. Imagine the Anatolian valley, soft with morning mist, small fires burning, children sleeping. In the center of a home, a small clay figure rests on a wooden table. Her form is round, her surface smooth with touch. She glows in the flicker of the flame. She is both silent and alive, holding the promise of wheat, of water, of warmth. Now, cross oceans in your breath. See the cornfields rising tall. The leaves shimmer under the moon. A woman bends to gather husks, humming softly. Her song drifts into the night air, calling to unseen guardians. The rhythm of her voice is like a lullaby, carrying across the fields, carrying through the dark, carrying into dreams. The guardians of fertility remind us of patience. The seed rests, hidden beneath the earth. It is not hurried. It does not fight. It trusts the soil. It trusts the rain. It trusts the warmth of the sun. And slowly, silently, it awakens. First a small root, then a tender shoot, then leaves that open like soft hands. Life that had been sleeping stirs again. In the same way, you rest now. Your body, like the seed, finds comfort in stillness. Your breath falls like gentle rain. Your dreams will grow quietly in the night. You need only to rest, as the earth mothers once did, knowing that life will return in its time. Across the world, stories echo of these women. In every culture, every soil, there is a whisper of them. Women who were rivers, women who were trees, women who were mountains. Their power was not of conquest, not of fire or blade. Their power was the patience of growth, the mystery of life rising again and again, the soft strength that does not break but bends, yielding and in yielding enduring, the Anatolian mother goddess, the corn mothers of Central America, the nameless women who pressed seeds into ground, who sang over harvests, who carried both hunger and hope within their bodies. They were the guardians of fertility, and through them the world was nourished. Now picture their circle. Across valleys and deserts, mountains and seas, they stand together, hands resting on soil, eyes turned to the sky, their breath a single wind moving gently through the world, their song a steady hum, deep and low like the earth's own heartbeat. They are timeless. They are endless. They are here, even now, watching over the sleeping fields of your heart. The night grows deeper. The stars spread wider. Your body softens as though it, too, is part of the soil. Safe, held, nourished, you do not need to move. You do not need to reach. Like the seed, you rest. Like the earth, you breathe. Like the guardians, you wait in peace. Let their song carry you further now. Let their hands of earth cradle your dreams. Let their presence remind you that you are part of the great circle. That growth is never lost. That life always returns. And so we drift onward into the wide and silent night. Now rest as the stars return, and the Earth Mother closes her eyes beside you. The night stretches wide, soft as a cloak of velvet. The stars drift like tiny lamps, steady and slow. A hush rests upon the earth as if the world is listening. And into this stillness, a voice begins to rise. Not loud, not sharp, but gentle, flowing, like incense curling upward in temple air. It is the song of the Sibyls, prophetic women, keepers of vision, voices of the hidden future. Their words were never hurried. They came like whispers carried on the wind. They moved like rivers, winding, unending. They were not commands, but songs. Songs that entered the heart and lingered there. Songs that felt less like predictions and more like dreams. In the soft twilight of ancient Greece, the Sibyls sat by sacred springs. Water murmured beside them, cool and eternal. The scent of laurel drifted in the air, leaves shimmering in the breeze. People came, not to argue, not to demand, but to listen. For the Sibyls' words were like mist. You could not hold them, yet they surrounded you. You could not capture them, yet they soaked into your skin. It was said their voices carried the breath of the gods, that when they spoke, the divine was near. But their power was not in certainty. It was in wonder. Each phrase was like a fragment of a dream, given as a gift, left to grow inside the listener's mind. The Sibyl of Delphi is the most remembered. She sat above the earth's breath, where vapors rose from hidden caverns. There in the heart of the mountain, she became a bridge between worlds. Her words drifted upward like smoke, curling, soft, elusive. People listened with bowed heads. They felt not the weight of answers, but the lift of mystery. Each sound shimmered like a drop of light on still water. Yet Delphi was not alone. Across the lands, in caves, by rivers, upon temple stones, other Sibyls sang. In Asia Minor, in Italy, in the far reaches of the Mediterranean, some sang in whispers. Some sang in chants that rolled like thunder, then softened like rain. Each carried her own song, yet all were bound by the same current. Visions flowing from the unseen into the seen. The Sibyl's song was never a straight path. It moved in circles, spirals, echoes, like wind weaving through trees, like the sea folding upon itself. Her words asked the listener to rest in uncertainty, to lean into silence, to feel the space between. In this way, her song was more than prophecy. It was comfort. It reminded people that the world was vast. That time was not a single line, but a tapestry, threads woven in colors both dark and bright. The Sibyl held the loom. Her song was the shuttle moving gently back and forth, weaving the unseen into form. Now imagine yourself among those who came to listen. You walk a winding path, your steps slow, steady. Torches flicker along the way, their flames soft and low. Ahead, the entrance to a sacred cave glows with dim light. The air is cool, touched with the smell of herbs, with the dampness of stone. You sit in silence. The Sibyl is there, her eyes half closed, her face calm as still water. Her voice rises. At first only a breath, then a sound, like distant waves, then words, flowing one into another, not hurried, not sharp. Each syllable falls into the space around you, like drops of water echoing in a deep cavern. You do not strain to understand. You simply let the sound carry you, like a gentle current. The Sibyls often sang of cycles, of endings that were beginnings, of falls that led to rises, of darkness that gave birth to light. Their voices carried the truth of the seasons, the seed falling into soil, the seed breaking open, the seed becoming root, stem, leaf, fruit. They sang of time as a breathing thing, not rushing, always returning. These songs eased the hearts of those who feared. They reminded listeners that no shadow lasted forever, that the river always moved, that every silence was full of hidden growth. To hear the Sibyl was to rest in the promise of return. Some spoke of her as a bird perched at the edge of time, her song like feathers drifting across the sky. Others saw her as a tree, roots deep in the earth, branches reaching into the stars. Her song, the wind moving through leaves, telling secrets of both soil and heaven. However she was seen, she remained the same, a woman of voice, a woman of vision, a woman who wove future and present into one fabric of sound. The Sibyl's power was not in control, it was in surrender. She surrendered to silence. She surrendered to breath. She surrendered to the stream of words that rose within her. In her surrender, others found peace, for in her song they too could release their burdens, their questions, their restless searching. Her song was an invitation to listen, to soften, to trust, to rest. The night grows deeper. Her voice lingers like the last glow of sunset upon water. You feel yourself drifting with it, carried on its gentle tide. Her words are no longer separate from your breath. They move through you, soft, unhurried. You do not need to hold them. You do not need to understand. You only need to rest as her song circles around you like a shawl of light. Across the ancient world, the Sibyls sang. By springs, by caves, by temples, by fields. Their voices rose, then faded, then rose again in new places, in new tongues. But the essence never changed. It was always a song of vision. It was always a song of comfort. It was always a song that drifted like incense into the night. And even now, as stars wheel slowly above, their song remains. You can hear it if you listen in the quiet, not with your ears, but with the stillness of your heart. It is there, soft as breath, steady as tide. It says, all things move in their time. All things find their place. All things return. So let the Sibyl's song guide you deeper into rest. Let her voice be the gentle current that carries you across the waters of sleep. Let her words be the soft leaves that fall upon your closed eyes. She is here even now singing. She is the hush between breaths. She is the glow of stars upon your skin. She is the quiet hand of the future brushing across your dreams. And as her song fades, you sink further, into stillness, into softness, into peace. Let us drift onward now. Let the Sibyl's song carry you where you need to go. Now rest as the stars return, and the night holds you gently in its arms. The night is still. Stars drift gently over the wide horizon. Their light is calm, steady, never hurried. It feels as if the heavens themselves are measuring time, keeping balance, holding the world in place. And so begins the story of the goddesses of justice, women divine, who held truth in their hands like a lantern, who weighed harmony on unseen scales, who reminded mortals and gods alike that the world must rest in balance. In ancient Egypt, justice had a name. Her name was Mut. She was more than a goddess. She was the very fabric of truth. Her feather was light as air, yet stronger than stone. Her presence was quiet, yet wider than the sky. Each morning, when the sun rose from the horizon, it was said that it rose through her order. Her hand guided the path of the sun. Her heart kept the stars in their places. Her whisper steadied the river Nile so its waters would flow and nourish the soil. Without her, the world would fall into chaos. With her, the world found breath, rhythm, and peace. In the great halls of the dead, Mut's feather rested upon a scale. Every soul that entered the afterlife was brought before it. Their heart, full of memory and choices, was placed on one side. Her feather, the feather of truth, was placed on the other. If the heart was light, balanced with the feather, the soul passed onward into eternal fields of peace. If heavy, weighed down with lies, it faltered. So it was known, Mut's measure could not be escaped. Justice was not a threat, but a promise. That the world would remain in balance, that truth would always find its place. Imagine the silence of that hall, the glow of torches upon polished stone, the soft rustle of linen robes, the stillness of breath as the scale tipped, ever so gently, back and forth. There Mut stood, calm, unshaken, her feather gleaming white against the shadows. She was eternal patience. She was eternal order. Far away, across seas and mountains in the lands of Greece, another goddess held the scales. Her name was Themis. Her figure was carved upon temple stones, serene and steady. She carried the scales of justice in one hand, a sword of clarity in the other. Her eyes were calm, sometimes veiled, for true justice was to see without prejudice, to look beyond appearances, to measure only what was pure. Themis was the voice of divine law, not the laws written by men, shifting with time, but the deeper laws that guided nature itself, the bond between parent and child, the duty of guest and host, the sacred promise of oath and word. She watched over these things, quiet as the turning stars, firm as the roots of the earth. Her daughters were the Horai, the seasons, gentle goddesses who moved in rhythm, who kept the world circling through spring, summer, autumn, winter. Through them, Themis reminded all that justice was not a single moment, but a cycle. Balance was not rigid but flowing, like a river that curved yet always found its way back to the sea. Picture, for a moment, a temple at dawn. The pillars are tall, their shadows long across the marble floor. The air is cool, touched with the salt of the sea. Inside, a priestess lights the sacred flame, whispering prayers to Themis. Her voice is soft, like a breeze across stone. She speaks of balance, of honor, of truth. Those who enter come not for punishment, but for guidance. They bow before the image of Themis, not in fear, but in reverence. For she was the stillness that kept the world steady. Maat and Themis. 2 names, 2 lands, 2 visions of the same eternal truth. One held a feather, one held a scale. One spoke through silence, one through law. Yet both whispered the same lesson, that the world is harmony, and to live well is to keep that harmony alive. Their justice was not harsh. It was not the strike of a hammer or the weight of iron chains. It was soft, steady, like the balance of night and day. It was the reminder that every action is a ripple, and every ripple returns. That truth is not loud, but patient, waiting to rise like dawn. In Egypt, people placed small figures of Ma'at upon their altars to remind them of honesty. They carved her feather into amulets, wearing them close to the heart. In Greece, they spoke the name of Themis when making oaths, for no promise was sacred without her. Her scales were imagined above every agreement, her unseen hand steadying every word. To call upon these goddesses was to invite calm into the soul, to remember that life is a balance between giving and receiving, speaking and listening, rising and resting. Their presence was like the breath itself, in, out, always balanced, always returning. Now let your mind drift to a vision, a vast hall of pillars stretching into the distance. Between them water flows in thin streams, calm and clear. Above, the roof is open and the stars are visible, bright and slow. At the center of this hall stand 2 figures, one with a feather of white resting on a golden scale, one with scales of bronze gleaming in the starlight. Maat and Themis, side by side. They do not speak, yet their presence fills the hall. They are steady, eternal. Their gaze is soft, yet endless. You feel their balance settle over you like a warm blanket. Your breath deepens, your heart softens. There is nothing to prove, nothing to fear. Only rest, only trust. Only the gentle truth of balance. Their justice is not distant. It is in the small moments of every day. In the kindness you give, in the honesty you keep, in the patience you show. It is in the balance of work and rest, in the balance of speaking and silence, in the balance of carrying and letting go. Maat and Themis remind the soul that justice is not a burden. It is a harmony, a song, a rhythm. It is the quiet alignment of heart and world, of soul and breath, of action and truth. The night deepens. The stars glow brighter, yet softer. The hall of pillars fades into silence. The feather drifts. The scales grow still. The goddesses remain, eternal, steady, watching with calm eyes. Let their presence linger in you. Let their balance rest in your breath. In, out, light as a feather, steady as a scale. Now the story softens. Now the dream folds into rest. The goddesses step back into the night, their light remaining, their whispers still upon the air. You are safe beneath their gaze. You are held within their balance. Let us drift onward now. Let the scales of truth hold steady as the stars return. Now rest, as the night embraces you in silence, and the goddesses of justice keep watch. The night drapes itself in silver quiet. A soft mist rises from the earth, curling like breath across meadows. Somewhere, far away, an owl glides, its wings silent against the dark. You rest beneath this sky, safe, unhurried, as the old stories unfold like gentle streams of water. Tonight, the voices belong to the healing mothers, spirits of earth and grove, of spring and shrine, whose hands soothe the weary and whose blessings calm the heart. In the lands of the Celts, deep in the forests where oaks stretched tall and the rivers sang, there were sacred groves. People came to them with quiet steps, carrying bowls of milk, small cakes of barley, or strands of wool dyed in bright colors. They tied these offerings to branches, or left them upon stones polished smooth by time. They came seeking the mothers, divine women, sometimes seen as three, sometimes as many, but always gentle, always near. These mothers were not distant queens. They were close, like the whisper of leaves or the hush of rain. They were believed to dwell in springs that never ran dry, in wells whose waters never failed, in the roots of trees that grew green even in the hardest winters. Their gift was healing. Their touch was soft, yet strong. Those who prayed to them brought their worries, their sickness, their weariness. And when they left, it was said their burdens grew lighter, as if washed by unseen hands. Imagine walking through such a grove, the grass damp with dew, the air rich with the smell of pine and earth. A pool of water glimmers in the moonlight, so clear it reflects every star. You bend close, touch the water, and feel its coolness. It is not only water but blessing, gentle, cleansing, steady as the breath you take now. The Celts spoke of the mothers in many places. Sometimes they were called matries, sometimes matronae. Their statues were carved in stone, often showing them seated, with baskets of fruit, bread, or herbs. Sometimes they held infants, as if to remind all that healing begins with care, with nurture, with the cradle of life itself. They were protectors of home, of health, of the quiet strength that keeps families alive through winter and storm. Their faces were serene, not stern, not distant, but warm, as if the stone itself carried a smile. To see them was to feel comfort. To stand before them was to feel steadied, like leaning against the trunk of an old tree that has seen many seasons and still stands tall. In the Roman world, too, the mothers were honored. The people built shrines to them, placing offerings of bread and wine, whispering prayers for safe childbirth, for healing of wounds, for strength in times of weakness. They called them by many names, but always the meaning was the same. Mothers who heal, mothers who give, mothers who hold the world in gentle hands. Imagine a Roman shrine at dawn, a small altar of stone, garlands of flowers draped across it. The air carries the smell of rosemary, thyme, and sage, herbs gathered for blessing. A woman places a bowl of clear water upon the altar, watching as the sunlight touches its surface. She closes her eyes and prays for her child, for her husband, for her own weary body. And as the prayer fades, the stillness of the shrine answers with silence, deep and kind. It is as if the mothers are listening, unseen, their presence like the hush of morning. These divine women were remembered, not for battles or storms, but for their endless patience. Their power was not in force, but in restoration. They healed by reminding life how to flow again, like a river finding its way around stone. Their symbols were herbs, fruits, and waters, simple gifts of earth, yet stronger than any weapon. To those who were ill, they gave herbs steeped in warm water, leaves gathered at dawn, roots lifted carefully from the soil. To those who grieved, they gave dreams of peace, where the departed walked in green fields, smiling at rest. To those who feared, they gave calm, reminding them that night is not the end, but a passage to dawn. Close your eyes and drift to a vision. You are walking in a grove at twilight. Tall trees surround you, their branches heavy with leaves. The air is cool, carrying the sound of a stream. You follow it until you reach a spring bubbling gently from the earth. Beside it stand three women. Their faces are calm, their robes flowing like water. One holds a basket of apples, red and sweet. One holds a bundle of herbs, fragrant and green. One holds a child wrapped in soft cloth. They look at you, not with judgment, but with kindness. Their eyes are steady, like lanterns in the dark. You feel your breath deepen, your body soften. The weariness you carried fades, little by little, as if their gaze alone can lift it. You kneel, touch the spring, and the cool water runs over your fingers, your hands, your heart. It feels as though the earth itself is saying, "Rest, be well, you are held." The mothers were often linked with sacred wells. Wells were places where the unseen touched the seen, where the underworld met the surface. People would drop coins into them, whispering wishes. They would tie cloth to the branches nearby, asking for healing, leaving their hope in the care of the waters. The wells were like mirrors of the soul, quiet, deep, and full of hidden strength. To drink from such a well was to take in blessing. To wash in it was to release pain. To sit beside it was to feel safe, as if the mothers themselves were near, watching, waiting, soothing. In both Celtic grove and Roman shrine, the idea was the same. Healing does not rush. It flows slowly, gently, like water finding its path. It comes not from power but from patience, not from loudness but from quiet care. The mothers taught that rest is part of healing, that to be still, to breathe, to trust the turning of the seasons, is to allow the body and soul to mend. Now imagine night once more. A circle of trees stands tall around you. At their roots, herbs grow: chamomile, lavender, mint, each carrying its own gentle gift. A breeze stirs them, releasing fragrance into the air. The stars above are countless, yet soft, like seeds scattered across dark soil. And in this space, you are not alone. You feel the mothers near. Their presence is not loud, not sharp, but like a steady heartbeat, like the earth beneath your body. You sit, close your eyes, and breathe. Their healing flows into you with each breath. You feel lighter, as if the heavy cloak of worry slips from your shoulders. You feel warmer, as if wrapped in a soft blanket. You feel calmer, as if the world has slowed, leaving only the rhythm of your heart, steady and true. The healing mothers remain eternal, not in statues or shrines alone, but in every gesture of care, in the hand that offers water to the thirsty, in the arm that cradles a child, in the voice that speaks comfort to the weary. They live in the herbs that grow by streams. They live in the wells that never run dry. They live in the patient rhythm of nature, always giving, always renewing. The night deepens, the grove grows still, the spring bubbles softly, a lullaby of earth. The mothers step back into the mist, yet their presence lingers. You feel it in your breath. You feel it in your heart. You feel it in the quiet peace that now surrounds you. Let the healing mothers guide you into rest. Let their herbs, their waters, their blessings fold around you like a gentle cloak. You are safe in their care. You are soothed by their hands. You are carried into peace. Now let us drift onward. The grove fades into stars. The shrine dissolves into silence. The mothers remain eternal, steady, kind. Now rest as the stars return, and the night becomes your gentle home. The night folds itself around you like a cloak. The air is still, soft with the breath of twilight. Somewhere in the distance, a low drum seems to echo across unseen hills. Its rhythm is slow, steady, like the heartbeat of the earth itself. Above, the stars appear one by one, each a lantern glowing in the endless sky. You drift beneath them, your spirit quiet, your body safe, as we step gently into the old story. A story of women who sang not only for the living, but also for those who journeyed into the silence of the next world. In the ancient villages of the north, fires burned low at night. Around them, families gathered close, speaking softly, guarding the edges of sleep. When death touched the community, when a loved one's breath had stilled, it was the shamanic women who stepped forward. They carried voices like rivers. They carried songs like bridges. Through them, the living and the departed were never fully apart. These women were called by many names across many lands. Some were priestesses, some were shamans, some were simply known as mothers of song. What they shared was a gift, the ability to walk between worlds, to comfort both those who remained and those who were leaving. Their voices were not loud. They were low, gentle, steady, like lullabies carried on the wind. They soothed the living, but more than that, they guided the souls of the dead, leading them like children across a dark river. Imagine such a moment. A hut lit only by firelight. Shadows flicker along the walls. A woman sits near the body of the departed. Her eyes are closed. Her hands rest on a drum made of hide. She taps it slowly, the sound like footsteps fading into distance. Her voice rises soft as mist, weaving words older than memory. It is not a song of sorrow nor of fear. It is a song of passage. Her words tell the spirit, "You are safe. You are carried. You are not alone." Those who listened felt the air grow calm. Grief eased, if only for a while, as if the lullaby wrapped the whole room in a blanket. For the soul drifting away, the song was a lantern, lighting the path toward the unseen. Across the vast plains of Siberia, such women were believed to carry within them the power of flight. When they sang, it was said their souls could rise like birds, following the departed into the spirit world. Their songs became wings, carrying prayers upward, carrying blessings downward, until both worlds touched in quiet harmony. The people believed that death was not an end, but a crossing. The shaman's song was the boat. Her drum was the oar. Her voice was the gentle hand guiding the spirit toward its new home. She reminded the dead that the way ahead was not frightening, but soft, like a meadow of endless grass. She reminded the living that grief, though heavy, would one day turn into memory, light as wind. In Celtic lands, too, women were known to sing for the dying. They were called keening women, their voices rising and falling like waves. Their songs were woven of sorrow, yet they carried within them a strange peace. They did not hide death. They met it, cradled it, gave it shape through sound. For the one who departed, their song was a lullaby into the other world. For those who stayed behind, it was a release, a letting go, a way to soften the sharpness of loss. Picture a green hill, the sea not far away, its waves steady against the shore. A circle of women stand in the grass, their voices mingling with the wind. They sing as the body is lowered into the earth, each note a thread, weaving the soul's passage, carrying it across the invisible waters that separate this life from the next. The sound is not harsh. It is like the tide, eternal, endless, gentle even in its sorrow. In many lands, shamanic women also held herbs and incense while they sang. They burned sage, juniper, or sweet grass, letting the smoke rise in spirals, carrying prayers upward. The scent itself was a bridge, reminding the spirit that it was being lifted, carried toward light. For the living, the fragrance was comfort, clean, fresh, a breath of earth's kindness. They would sprinkle water over the body, whispering that the soul was being cleansed for its journey. They would tie ribbons or threads to trees, so the wind could carry blessings outward. Every act was gentle, never rushed, never harsh. The soul was treated like a traveler who must be guided slowly, carefully, with great tenderness. In the valleys of the Andes, women sang lullabies not only for infants, but also for the dying. They believed that every soul is like a child when it leaves this world, small, uncertain, needing comfort. The lullaby they sang was soft, steady, reminding the spirit that death is also a kind of birth, a return to the great mother of the earth. Their voices drifted over mountains, over rivers, carrying the departed back into the arms of the sky. Those who listened said the songs felt like the sound of water flowing or wind brushing through tall grass. The soul, they believed, would follow the song like a path, never lost, always guided. There is something deeply soothing in this thought, that even in the silence of death there is song, that no one departs alone, that voices rise like lanterns lighting the way. These women with their songs gave shape to the unseen. They turned fear into lullaby and endings into journeys. Imagine again the hut, the grove, the hill. The shaman's drum beats softly. The smoke curls upward. The voices rise and fall, gentle waves in the air. You listen, not with your ears alone, but with your heart. You feel the calm settle into you like water filling an empty cup. You feel the slow breath of the song, carrying both sorrow and peace. You feel the truth at its center. All journeys are guided. All spirits are cared for. No one is forgotten. The voices of the dead remind us that healing belongs not only to the living, it belongs also to those who step beyond and to those who remain behind. A song can heal both sides of the river. It can comfort the one who departs, and it can cradle the one who stays. It can weave both grief and love into a single thread that never breaks. The shamanic women knew this. Their role was not only to guide, but also to remind. To remind the living that death is a part of life. To remind the dead that they are never abandoned. To remind all that love does not end. It flows onward, like water, like wind, like song. Now let the image soften. The fire burns low. The last song drifts into silence. The soul has crossed into its new home, steady and safe. The mourners rest, their tears eased by the rhythm of the women's voices. The night grows quiet again, like a great, deep breath. You lie beneath the stars, calm, safe, carried by the same truth that guided the old songs. That endings are not emptiness, but transitions. That beyond silence, there is always sound. That beyond darkness, there is always light. That every spirit, yours included, is held by hands unseen, guided by voices soft and kind. Now let us drift onward. The drumbeat fades. The smoke dissolves into the night air. The lullaby rests, folded like a blanket around your heart. The stars remain, steady, endless. You are safe within their glow. Now rest as the stars return. Rest as the voices of the dead become whispers of peace. Rest, for you are carried, always, gently, into the embrace of the night. Night spreads its gentle cloak across the sky. The stars are scattered like seeds of light, glowing faintly above quiet forests and ancient stones. The air is still, as though the earth itself is holding its breath. In this soft silence, the story begins. Far from the noise of towns and the rush of voices, there were women of old who carried their wisdom not through speech, but through stillness. They were known as silent guardians. Their strength was not in words nor in command, but in presence. To enter their circle was to step into a silence that healed, like a stream washing gently over tired feet. These women lived in sacred places, some in temples carved from stone, some in groves where the trees arched like cathedrals of green, some by wells of deep, clear water. Wherever they stood, their silence turned the air into prayer. In the highlands of forgotten lands, there was said to be a temple built from gray stone, weathered by centuries of wind. It stood at the edge of a cliff where the sea stretched endlessly, its surface rising and falling like the breathing of the world. Inside the temple, no words were spoken, only the sound of waves below and the whisper of the wind between the stones. The women who tended this place were veiled in white. They moved slowly, like drifting clouds, their footsteps making no sound. When travelers came to the temple with heavy hearts, the women did not speak. They placed a hand upon the visitor's shoulder. They led them to the altar of stone where a single flame burned, steady and calm, and in that silence, the visitor's burden softened. The mind, so full of restless words, began to quiet. The guardians taught that silence was not emptiness. It was fullness, deep and alive, like soil holding roots or the sky holding stars. Their stillness was a reminder that strength does not need to shout. Strength can stand quietly and still be unshakable. Elsewhere, in a land of oak and birch, there was a circle of trees where women kept watch. They were known as keepers of the listening grove. Their silence was different from the silence of stone. Here the quiet was woven with bird song and the sigh of branches in the wind. The women would sit among the roots, unmoving for hours, their hands resting upon the earth. People came to them seeking guidance, not through speech but through presence. A visitor might sit across from one of the guardians. No words would pass between them. Instead, the visitor would feel the rhythm of the forest, the rustle of leaves, the heartbeat of earth beneath their feet, and slowly, as if guided by unseen hands, the answers they carried within began to rise. The guardians were not silent because they had nothing to say. They were silent because they understood the language beyond words, the language of breath, the language of rustling leaves, the language of still water. And in learning this language, those who visited the grove found a calmness that words alone could never bring. In another tradition, silence was kept beside wells of sacred water. Women would sit by the edge, veiled and motionless. The water reflected the sky, sometimes clear, sometimes clouded. Travelers came to drop offerings, coins, flowers, or simple prayers whispered under their breath, but the guardians spoke none. Their gift was to hold the silence of the well. It was said that if you leaned over the water and gazed long enough, your heart would begin to reflect itself. The guardians did not guide with sermons or teachings. They guided by keeping the water undisturbed. By protecting its quietness, they allowed each person to see more clearly. Like a pond, once still, reveals the sky above. Their silence was not absence. It was presence, a presence strong enough to still the restless currents within those who came seeking peace. In all these places, temple, grove, and well, the silent guardians taught the same truth. Silence is not weakness. It is not a lack. It is a power as deep as oceans, as steady as mountains, as soft as falling snow. The world often speaks loudly. It demands, it calls, it argues. But the guardians remind us there is another way, a strength that does not raise its voice, a strength that is simply there, unmoving, unyielding, unspoken. They carried no weapons. They did not lead armies. Their shield was stillness. Their sword was presence. And yet they were protectors of peace, guardians of balance, not through command, but through quiet. One story tells of a weary pilgrim who, after many days of walking, stumbled upon the temple of stone. He was burdened with grief, his heart heavy with memories he could not put down. The silent women received him, their faces calm as moonlight. They gave him no words, no counsel. They simply guided him to sit beside the flame. Hours passed and no one spoke. At first the pilgrim felt restless, waiting for a lesson, a blessing, a voice. But slowly, as the silence deepened, he began to feel lighter. The grief he carried loosened its grip. The flame before him burned steadily, unshaken by wind. And he realized the guardians were teaching him, not with speech, but with being, that sometimes the greatest healing is not found in answers, but in stillness. When he rose to leave, the women only bowed their heads, and though no words had been exchanged, he carried with him a calm that lasted all his days. Across cultures and lands, the guardians of silence appear. In Celtic groves, in Roman temples, in distant shrines beyond the sea, always women of stillness, always teaching the same truth. That silence is a teacher, that quiet is a shield, that presence, more than speech, can guide the soul. Tonight, as the stars shimmer faintly in the sky, their lesson lingers. Silence is not empty, it is alive. It holds the breath of wind, the heartbeat of earth, the glimmer of stars. It is a space where the spirit can rest. So let the guardians stand watch in your memory. Let their calm shelter you, like stone walls against the storm, like trees against the wind, like still water reflecting the night sky. And now drift with their stillness. Feel the calm of their presence, timeless and gentle. No words are needed. No questions must be answered. Only the soft embrace of quiet strength. Let the story fade, like the sound of waves against distant shores. Let your breath slow, like leaves falling upon still ground. Let your body rest, as though the guardians themselves are near, watching with eyes that never close, holding the silence for you. Now rest as the stars return. Now dream as the night deepens. Now drift as silence surrounds you. The guardians remain silent, steady, present, and you are safe in their quiet strength. We close with a meditation on the timeless archetype of the Divine Mother, present in every culture, holding every soul as her child. Night stretches across the sky deep and tender. The stars shimmer like lanterns scattered in the dark. A soft wind moves across the earth, brushing through leaves, brushing across water, carrying the quiet breath of the world. In this stillness, the story unfolds. There has always been in every land the vision of a mother of light. Not one woman, not one name, but an endless presence. She rises in different forms: Isis of Egypt, Demeter of Greece, Mary of the Holy Lands, Devi of India, countless others known and unknown. But beneath the names, beneath the shapes, the essence remains the same. The Eternal Mother, holding the world as her child. She is the one who comforts the restless heart. She is the one who bends low to gather the weary. Her touch is as soft as moonlight upon water, as warm as sunlight upon earth. She is not far, not hidden, but near, always near, in the hush between breaths, in the calm beneath sorrow, in the cradle of sleep. In the beginning, when the sky was empty, there was said to be a mother who wove stars out of silence. She gathered sparks from the deep, and one by one placed them in the heavens. Each star was a seed of memory, a blessing to guide those who wandered in the night. When you look upward, it is her handiwork you see. The vast spread of constellations is her lullaby, still glowing after countless ages. Travelers across deserts once whispered her name as they followed the stars. Sailors upon dark seas prayed to her when no land was in sight. Children listened to stories of how she shaped the Milky Way with her own hands, a river of light flowing from her heart. The stars remain eternal lanterns, her gift for all souls who journey. And even now, as you close your eyes, her stars keep watch. They are the quiet eyes of the mother, never closing, never leaving. Beneath the sky, she is also the mother of soil and seed. Farmers once prayed to her when they pressed grain into the ground. Her breath was in the rain that softened the fields. Her hands were in the roots that pushed upward, carrying life toward the sun. In Greece, she was called Demeter, bringing wheat and harvest. In Rome, she was Ceres, protector of fields. But beyond these names, she was simply the one who feeds. Every loaf of bread, every drop of milk, every fruit upon the branch was seen as her gift. To hunger was to call her name. To eat was to give thanks. And in sleep, to dream of gardens and golden fields was to rest in her lap. Even now, when you breathe, the air you draw is her blessing. The strength of your body is her nourishment. The bed beneath you, the ground itself, is her cradle. There are also stories of her rising from the rivers and seas. In Egypt, she was linked with the Nile, its floods bringing new life to the land. In Celtic groves, she was the lady of the wells, blessing those who came to drink. In India, she flowed as the holy Ganges, her waters washing sorrow away. Water was always her voice. It spoke in trickling streams and wide rivers in the vast rhythm of the ocean. It soothed the sick. It washed the weary. It sang lullabies against the shore. When people stood by the edge of water and prayed, they prayed to her. When they poured libations into the earth, they were offering back what she had given. She was both the river and the hand that poured it. And as you rest, the sound of water may rise within memory. A stream flowing, a fountain murmuring, a wave falling soft against sand. Each sound is her whisper, telling you that you are carried, you are held. Not all stories speak of soil or stars. Some speak of pure compassion, a mother of mercy who gathers the brokenhearted. In Christian lands, she is remembered in Mary, who holds her child in quiet tenderness. In Buddhist lands, she appears as Kuan Yin, the lady who listens to the cries of the world. In countless places, she is the one who bends low, never turning away. Her arms are always open. Her gaze is always gentle. She does not ask for strength. She offers it. She does not demand perfection. She comforts weakness. To call upon her is to feel a veil of peace descend, like soft cloth against weary skin. To imagine her presence is to feel warmth in the coldest night. Her compassion is a fire that never burns out, a lamp that never darkens. Tonight, as you breathe slowly, her compassion surrounds you. Every exhale is lighter, every inhale more restful. Her arms, unseen, are there. There are also stories of the mother who is older than all ages. She was there before the first dawn. She will be there after the last dusk. She is the endless circle, birth and death, beginning and return. Some called her the great void, the womb of night. Some called her fate, spinning threads of destiny upon her wheel. But even in her mystery, she was always seen as a mother, not cruel, not distant, but patient, watching, guiding all souls back to her embrace. When people feared the end, they turned to her. When they faced loss, they whispered her name. And they found comfort in knowing that nothing truly leaves her. All returns. All is held. All is remembered. In dreams, when you drift beyond time, it is into her arms you fall. She is both the passage and the homecoming. And so, whether in sky, in earth, in water, in compassion, or in time itself, the image remains. Always a mother. Always a light. Different faces, different names, yet one essence. She is the lullaby sung in every language. She is the embrace behind every prayer. She is the eternal mother of light, present in all cultures, in all hearts, no matter who you are, no matter where you rest. She holds you. She has always held you, and she always will. Now let the vision of the eternal mother remain close. Imagine her presence beside you, gentle, radiant, endless. Her hand resting upon your brow, cooling, calming. Her voice not with words, but with silence, humming softly like wind in trees. The stars above are her eyes. The earth beneath is her body. The waters are her voice. The warmth of breath is her spirit. And you are her child, forever. Breathe gently, as though breathing with her. Let the rhythm slow. Let the night deepen. Let the comfort of her presence hold you, steady as a cradle rocking in moonlight. Now the story softens. Now the words fall quiet. Only the silence of her embrace remains. Rest now. The eternal mother of light is near. Her arms surround you. Her lullaby shines in the stars. Her calm is the night itself. Sleep, child of light. Sleep and drift onward. Sleep as the stars return.